the Western Roman Empire ceased to exist. Nevertheless, the imperial idea itself was so powerful that centuries later, barbarian kings began military conflicts for the right to be called its successors. How did a German dynasty from Saxony manage to revive the greatest title in Europe, found the Kingdom of Germany, and create an empire that lasted nearly 1,000 years? This is the story of how a new state, the Holy Roman Empire, arose in the shadow of fallen Rome. After the fall of the Western Roman Empire, the Germanic tribes of Germany experienced a period of internal strife. Among the tribes, the Franks stood out as they managed to conquer other West Germanic tribes. The king of the Salian Franks, Clovis the Fur, founded the Merovingian dynasty. Around 508, he accepted Catholic baptism. This decision was not merely a change of faith, it was a key political move that shaped the fate of Europe for centuries. This step not only strengthened his personal authority, but also began a long-lasting, mutually beneficial alliance between Frankish rule and the Catholic Church. Thanks to this alliance, the Franks gained the support of the clergy, while the Church acquired a secular protector, which influenced the development of education, law, and culture throughout Western Europe. The following year, Clovis the Fern became the leader of all the Franks and northern Gallo-Romans. He began the formation of future European nations based on Christian principles. Clovis the Rear's religious choice had far-reaching consequences. The Franks became the only major barbarian people to support Catholicism. This alliance was used 300 years later by Charlemagne of the Carolingian dynasty, which eventually replaced the Merovingians. Charlemagne united a large part of Western and Central Europe. In 800, Pope Leo III crowned Charlemagne emperor, founding the Carolingian Empire. It was a new attempt to revive Roman greatness based on the Frankish kingdom. From that time on, Charlemagne and his descendants claimed to be heirs of the Western Roman Empire. When we look at history, we see the maps of empires and the dates of great battles. But there's another story running parallel to it all: the history of medicine. They are dedicated to telling the compelling stories of how diseases have shaped our world and how humanity discovered the tools to fight back. How did a king, Baldwin IV, afflicted with leprosy, live and rule in an era when the disease was a death sentence? And behind the Great Death, they uncover the medical story of its devastating symptoms and the desperate futile search for a treatment. Healing history even shows how every battle is a story of loss. But at the same time, it's where the brutal lessons of war forge the foundations of modern emergency medicine. This is high-quality, in-depth, and fascinating content. In 843, Charlemagne's grandsons, the three sons of Louis the Pious, signed the Treaty of Verdun, officially dividing the Carolingian Empire. This document ended the history of the United Empire and paved the way for the emergence of future European states. The eldest of the brothers, Lothair I, received Middle Francia, a short-lived political entity. Due to its ethnic and geographical diversity, it lasted only 12 years as a whole. East Francia went to Louis the German and became the foundation of the future Kingdom of Germany and the core of the Holy Roman Empire. West Francia, located on the territory of former Gaul, was given to Charles the Bald. Over time, it transformed into the Kingdom of France. The idea of a unified empire gave way to a feudal mosaic, each with its own language and laws. The first king of East Francia, Louis the German, sought to expand his domains. In the 850s, he claimed West Francia and simultaneously tried to divide Middle Francia with Charles the Bald. Even so, his ambitions were unsuccessful. The Treaty of Prüm, concluded in 855 between the sons of the deceased Lothair I, marked the disintegration of Middle Francia. Yet Louis the German did not gain new lands at that time. The struggle for West Francia also ended in failure. Soon, he had to focus on internal problems. In the 860s, he fought rebellions by his sons Carloman, Louis the Younger, and Charles the Fat, and resisted the West Slavic tribe of the Moravians. Even so, Louis the German managed to retain power. In 870, he signed the Treaty of Meissen. Louis and Charles the Bald divided the lands of Lotharingia after the death of their nephew Lothair II, who left no direct heirs. This was a major political achievement. At the end of his life, the first king of East Francia reconciled with his sons and laid claim to the imperial title, but died before achieving his goal. After Louis the German's death, power in East Francia passed to his three sons. Charlemagne ruled Bavaria, Louis the Younger, Saxony, and Charles the Fat, Alemannia. In 1877, Charlemagne conquered Italy, but died just 3 years later. Bavaria thus passed to Louis the Younger, and Italy to Charles the Fat. In 880, Louis the Younger and the grandsons of Charles the Bald, Louis III and Carloman II, co-rulers of West Francia, signed the Treaty of Ribemont. Under its terms, Lotharingia passed entirely to East Francia. This was not just another division among relatives. The borders established between what would become the Holy Roman Empire and France proved long-lasting and remained almost unchanged for several centuries until the late Middle Ages. They became the foundation of the political map of Western Europe. In 882, Louis the Younger also died, and Charles the Fat inherited both Saxony and Bavaria, becoming the sole king of East Francia. 2 years later, Charles the Fat inherited the throne of West Francia from his relatives Louis III and Carloman II. Thus, this ruler reunited the empire of his great-grandfather and namesake Charlemagne for 3 years. Charles the Fat was the last legitimate emperor of the Carolingians, as he had been crowned by Pope John VIII in 881. He was also the last ruler of the United Kingdom of the Franks. In 887, Charles the Fat lost power in all his domains. His nephew, Arnulf of Carinthia, rose against him. Less than a year later, the youngest son of Louis the German died. The empire split into 5 separate kingdoms. This was the end of the dream of restoring a unified Christian empire. From then on, and for over 900 years, these territories would not be united under a single ruler, not until the conquests of Napoleon Bonaparte. Louis IV, the child, son of Arnulf of Carinthia, was the last ruler of East Francia from the Carolingian dynasty. In 911, he died under mysterious circumstances. The local aristocracy elected Conrad, Duke of Franconia, as king. His mother was Glismet, daughter of Arnulf of Carinthia. During his reign, Conrad I constantly fought with powerful dukes, first with Henry of Saxony, then with Arnulf of Bavaria. Unexpectedly, the childless Conrad I's throne passed not to his younger brother Eberhard, but to Duke Henry of Saxony, known as Henry the Fowler. On his deathbed, the king chose his former rival as successor, believing that only he could preserve the kingdom's unity amid internal revolts and external threats. Thus began the rule of the dynasty that changed the course of European history. Henry the Fowler became the first king of East Francia, from the Saxon dynasty, also often called the Liudolfings or the Ottonians, after its founder, Liudolf of Saxony, or the names of 3 emperors of the Holy Roman Empire. Some scholars consider Henry the Fowler the founder of the medieval German state, which until that time had been called East Francia. In the early years of his reign, Henry the Fowler consolidated his power in Germany. In 925, he annexed Lotharingia, a key region that had previously frequently changed hands. In the Battle of Lensin in 929, Henry defeated the Slavic forces of the Obodrite Confederation and the Velati. In 933, Henry the Fowler defeated the Hungarian army at the Battle of Ried. After the defeat, the Hungarians did not invade Germany for the next 20 years. Near the end of his life, Henry the Fowler planned a campaign to Rome to receive the imperial crown from the Pope. Nevertheless, he died before he could carry it out. In spite of that, his reign was pivotal. Henry preserved the unity of the kingdom, prevented the collapse of royal authority, and resisted the external threat from the east. He left his successor a strong state, the foundation of the future empire. Henry the Fowler laid the groundwork for the royal dynasty. His successor was his eldest son, Otto I. According to tradition, he was crowned in Aachen Cathedral. Modern scholars generally use the term Kingdom of Germany instead of East Francia, beginning with Otto I's reign. He continued his father's work and significantly expanded royal authority. Dynastic marriages and personal appointments allowed Otto I to make members of his family rulers of influential German duchies. Furthermore, by subordinating the church and clergy of Germany, he strengthened his power, Still, in the long run, it was precisely this interference in ecclesiastical affairs that led to a prolonged conflict between German monarchs and the Catholic Church. In 955, Otto I, like his father before him, halted the Hungarian invasion from the east. The battle took place near the Lech River, close to the city of Augsburg. The German king faced the Hungarian chieftain Bulksu. The forces were nearly equal, about 7,000 to 9,000 Germans versus 8,000 to 10,000 Hungarians. At first, the Hungarians besieged Augsburg and set up camp near the city. When Otto III approached the Hungarian camp, they immediately destroyed the German rearguard and attempted to seize the German camp, but the enemy repelled them with a counterattack. Afterward, Otto led his troops in an assault on the main enemy forces that were blocking the road to Augsburg. The German heavy cavalry crushed the Hungarian light cavalry, forcing them to retreat. The German king entered the city, leaving the pursuit of the enemy army to his commanders. Otto I also ordered the river crossings to be blocked to complicate the enemy's retreat. Heavy rain slowed the Hungarians' on withdrawal and allowed the German army to catch up and kill most of them. Chieftain Bulksu was captured and executed in Regensburg. Otto I's victory over the pagan enemy, the Principality of Hungary, was a turning point. It saved the Kingdom of Germany from destruction and permanently ended Hungarian invasions into Western Europe. Otto I gained a reputation as the savior of the Christian world and earned the title the Great. His authority increased significantly. After conquering Italy in 961, Otto had only one goal left: to receive the imperial crown in Rome. The coronation took place the following year in 962. Pope John XIII was seeking a strong protector to defend the Catholic Church from enemies on the Apennine Peninsula. Meanwhile, Otto I aspired to follow the path of Charlemagne and become emperor. The prestigious status would strengthen his legitimacy, link the rule of the Ottonian dynasty with the Carolingians and ancient Roman tradition. Otto I's coronation by Pope John XIII united two centers of power: secular imperial and spiritual ecclesiastical. Otto I became the founder and first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. This unique political entity at the heart of Europe lasted until the Napoleonic Wars. During Otto the Great's reign, the state was called the Roman Empire, just as the Carolingian Empire once was. Hedwig of Saxony, commonly believed to be Otto their sister, was the mother of Hugh Capet, founder of the Capetian dynasty and first ruler of the Kingdom of France. Thus, it is likely that the founders of two powerful medieval states, the Holy Roman Empire and the Kingdom of France, were close relatives. Otto the Great sought to improve relations with Byzantium, which did not officially recognize his imperial title, and opposed the Holy Roman Empire's further expansion to the south. The Byzantines considered themselves the true heirs of the Romans, with their Constantinople as the new Rome. To ease tensions, the imperial court arranged a marriage. Theophanu Sclerina, niece of Byzantine Emperor John I Tzimiskes, married Otto II, Otto the Great's youngest and only surviving son. This happened 1 year before Otto the Great's death. Among other things, this political gesture, the restoration of contacts with Byzantium, and Otto the Great's patronage contributed to the beginning of a cultural revival in the Holy Roman Empire. This period is known as the Ottonian Renaissance. Yet Otto the Great's final years were difficult. Conflicts with the popes, struggles to stabilize his rule over Italy, and internal disputes within the empire. Despite this, throughout the ages, Otto the Great has been portrayed as a successful ruler and great commander who revived the idea of imperial unity in Western Europe. At the same time, the empire created by Otto the Great remained fragile. After his death, power passed to his 18-year-old son, Otto II. Now it was up to him to prove that he could maintain his father's legacy in a world where enemies waited for the young ruler's first mistake. Otto II, son of Adelaide of Burgundy, had already been his father's co-ruler during his lifetime. After Otto's death, he continued the policy of strengthening imperial power in Germany and expanding southern borders on the Apennine Peninsula. He also continued to subordinate the Catholic Church to imperial authority. At the start of his reign, Otto II faced a serious threat, the so-called War of the Three Henries. Three powerful princes rose against the emperor, His cousin Duke Henry the Quarrelsome of Bavaria, Bishop Henry of Augsburg, and Duke Henry the Younger of Carinthia, Otto managed to suppress the rebellion. This bolstered his authority and allowed him to exclude the Bavarian branch of the Ottonians from the line of succession. From then on, Bavaria came under direct imperial control, strengthening central authority and securing the succession rights of Otto II's son. Just as Otto resolved one conflict, another erupted. In 978, the Franco-German War broke out over possession of Lotharingia. King Lothair of West Francia from the Carolingian dynasty unexpectedly attacked Aachen and nearly captured Otto II. The emperor had to flee to Dortmund. Afterward, Lothair returned to his lands, and the Holy Roman Emperor gathered his forces and launched a counteroffensive. Otto II invaded the Kingdom of West Francia and besieged Paris, but plague and a harsh winter forced him to retreat. The West Frankish king pursued the German army and destroyed their rearguard. However, in 980, Lothair renounced his claims to Lotharingia, and both rulers made peace. From 980 onward, Otto II focused on the Apennine Peninsula. He attempted to conquer all of Italy, but these ambitious plans dragged him into conflict with two powerful forces, the Byzantine Empire and the Fatimid Caliphate. Initially, Otto had some success against the Byzantines, but in 982, he suffered a devastating defeat by the Fatimids at the Battle of Stilo. This dealt a serious blow to his imperial ambitions in southern Italy. While Otto prepared for a new campaign, the Great Slavic Rising of 983 broke out. The Palabian Slavs, Wends, Lutici, and Obodrites rebelled against Christianization and German domination. The Christianization of the Eastern Slavs was often accompanied by increased taxes and destruction of traditional shrines. The uprising of 983 shattered imperial dreams, and the Germans lost political and religious influence east of the Elbe for many decades. That same year, Otto II went to Rome to oversee the election of a new pope. While he was in the city, a malaria outbreak struck central Italy. It likely caused the emperor's death later that year. Otto II was buried in the Old St. Peter's Basilica. Before and after him, no other member of the Ottonian dynasty was ever buried there. The only son of Otto the Sin, 3-year-old Otto III, became king of Germany. A small child could not rule such a powerful state. Regents for the new ruler were his mother, Theophanu Sclerina, and then his grandmother, Adelaide of Burgundy. This plunged the empire into political crisis. The young king's uncle, former Duke Henry of Bavaria, claimed the regency in 984 and tried to seize the throne, though the German aristocracy did not support the usurper. Thus, Henry the Quarrelsome was forced to abandon his claims and accept Otto III's rule. In response to this concession, the next year he was reinstated as Duke of Bavaria. Upon reaching adulthood, Otto III resolved to continue the work of his grandfather and father to become Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire and King of Italy. In 996, he went to the Apennine Peninsula, seeking to restore Ottonian control over the papal throne. Otto III became King of Italy and secured the election of his cousin Bruno of Carinthia as the first pope of German origin, taking the name Gregory V. The German king's relative also became the only pope to date, born in the territory of modern Austria. That same year, he crowned his cousin Otto III as emperor. But soon, Rome erupted in rebellion. Local aristocrats, led by patrician Crescentius the Younger, rose up against imperial rule. Otto III crushed the revolt but pardoned Crescentius and left the city. Yet in 998, he had to return to Rome. Crescentius launched a new rebellion and appointed antipope John XVI as supreme pontiff. Interestingly, John XVI, according to some accounts, was Otto III's godfather and chaplain to his mother, Theophanu Sclerina. His appointment was actively supported by Byzantine Emperor Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer, since John XVI was of Greek origin and born in Byzantine Italy. Thus, the struggle for power in Rome also became part of a broader confrontation between East and West. Otto III restored Gregory V to power and executed the rebel Crescentius. The emperor's actions in Italy further strengthened Ottonian influence over the Catholic Church. Meanwhile, Otto III was also strengthening the Holy Roman Empire's ties with its eastern neighbors. the Grand Principality of Hungary, the Duchy of Bohemia, and the Piast state, the predecessor of the Kingdom of Poland. In the year 1000, the emperor supported the coronation of the last Grand Prince of Hungary, Stephen III. Thus Stephen became the first king of Hungary, and his principality transformed into a kingdom. Otto III reinforced imperial control over the papacy and continued the tradition of close dependence of the Church on secular power. His support for the Christianization of Hungary, Poland, and Bohemia cemented their Western European civilizational alignment, which persists to this day. The following year, Otto III returned to Rome for a third time and faced a third uprising by the Roman aristocracy, after which the emperor had to flee the city. In 2002, Otto III launched a campaign to reclaim the Eternal City, but he fell ill with a fever and died in central Italy. Like his father, he did not live to see 30. The early death of the unmarried emperor, who left no heirs, led to another political crisis. The next king of Germany became Otto III's third cousin, Henry II, Duke of Bavaria, and son of Henry the Quarrelsome. A member of the Bavarian branch of the Ottonian dynasty and great-grandson of Henry the Fowler, he spent his youth in exile due to his father's rebellion. Henry II was the first ruler to adopt the title King of the Romans, Rex Romanorum. Henry II began his reign by strengthening the empire in the east. He intervened in the power struggle in Bohemia, helping Jaromir of the Przemyslid dynasty become the Duke of Bohemia. He then incorporated the Duchy of Bohemia into the Holy Roman Empire. Starting in 1003, a series of Polish-German wars broke out. The German king fought against the Piast Duke Bolesław I the Brave of the Piast dynasty, the future founder of the Kingdom of Poland. The battles were fought over control of Bohemia, Moravia, and Slovakia. In 1004, Henry II became King of Italy. He led several expeditions to the Apennine Peninsula, and in 1014, Pope Benedict VIII crowned him Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. Despite this, Henry II focused his ambitions primarily on the eastern borders. In 1018, the Peace of Bautzen ended the conflict with Bolesław the Brave. The Duchy of Bohemia was finally incorporated into the empire. With Henry II's death in 1024, the Ottonian era came to an end. Henry left no direct heirs and was the last emperor of the Ottonian dynasty, which had transformed East Francia into the Kingdom of Germany and founded the Holy Roman Empire. This family, originating from the German Duchy of Saxony, achieved significant military success and changed the political landscape of Europe. They strengthened monarchical power in Germany, conquered northern and central Italy, and imposed their influence on the Catholic Church. It was the Ottonians who created the political and ideological foundation of the Holy Roman Empire, which continued to exist for another 8 centuries after their rule. Unlike Byzantium, this empire was not a direct successor of ancient Rome, but it inherited its symbols, titles, and ambitions. The Saxon dukes became emperors who turned Germany into the political center of medieval Europe. The struggle for influence in Central Europe laid the groundwork for its modern political map.